Welcome back to Living Local on this Motivational Monday. What if you could create something in your physical world simply through your thoughts, feelings, or beliefs? Well, that's the idea behind manifestation. But how exactly does manifestation work? Today, we are diving deeper. Joining us in studio is Elias Patras. He is an empowerment coach. So great to have you back here.
Thank you for having me back.
So let's talk about the manifestation equation. What is it?
So the manifestation equation is something that we all should do, quite honestly. We have to have a desire, right? We have to have an idea. We have to have the passion behind that. And then we have to follow it through with action. When we follow it through with action, we can then trust, belief, and have faith in that's going to happen. And then we have to have the thankfulness and gratefulness. If one of those pieces are missing, you will not be able to manifest what you want, because sometimes, for example, let's say you wanted a brand new car, and with this car you're like, yeah, I can have it, but those bills are going to be really high. You just didn't believe that you could do it, so now the action and the belief and the trust, it's not going to happen.
So what do you think in the equation are that people have the hardest time filling in that equation that leads to failure?
So it is fear. It is fear of success, fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of not being good enough, or fear of
really anything.
Worthiness.
Worthiness, that's a big
and that
one.
they don't deserve it. So
Wow.
that's what I see with all my clients.
So that's just one of the examples of what can get people stuck when they're trying to be successful with manifesting. So what steps can people take to gain momentum and actually make progress?
So if you take the manifestation equation and we just take a baby step, just one small baby step, I would say that the first thing is to understand and to know that what is it that you want to manifest. Number one, if you want to say, I want to manifest a lot of money, that's awesome. Are you being specific about it? So you have to have the awareness of the specificity of that. Thank you.
Specificity.
Try to say that 10 times fast. Yeah. The specific piece is what you need, right? That is the first piece. The second part of it is understanding what blocks you. So if you can say, well, the fear blocks me, or I get in my own way. I mess up my stuff, or I procrastinate, or whatever I do. So that's another step. Another small step of that would be having and understanding the haves and the have-nots. Well, I do have this, but I don't have that. If you're going to focus on the have-nots, then how do you flip it and say, okay, but I do have gratitude for this, and I do have this, and I do have a home, and I have this, and maybe I can create X, Y, and Z. It's about changing your mind frame, really, truly. Another small piece, these are all tiny steps, are part of trusting the process. I don't think people trust the process.
I think impatience, you're right, is such a huge sticking point for some people. It's just like, because I think, we have a goal, we want to manifest this, and we don't really know when it's going to happen. And so if we don't see any progress like right away, it can feel really discouraging. How would you encourage people to keep going and trust the process, even though it's really hard to do that sometimes?
So let's say you and I are in a group and we're friends here and we're talking, and I'm like, well, I never asked Brittany for my help. I have to do it on my own. And those people that are spiritual, are they praying? Are they meditating? Are you asking for support? Because maybe you have the answer that I'm looking for, but I'm too proud to ask for anything. So now I have to do it all by myself, and it's not going anywhere. So we have to ask for the support, and that's really important. Also celebrating that, like, you know what, I did it today, or I didn't eat that blueberry muffin that I really wanted. So those are things that we can do.
Right, celebrating those small wins is so important. Now, you've mentioned some of the reasons that people are blocked from manifesting their dreams and desires. What do you think, when you're working with clients, is the most common block for people?
Well, we talked about fear, obviously, but the most common is, I have to tell you, I'm not worthy of it. I really want this, but, this one has it and that one has it. Should I have it?
And I'm sure that everyone has a different story, of course, but where do you think that comes from? This like self-sabotaging and I'm not worth it and I don't deserve it. Where do these thoughts come from?
Is it easier to say, I don't have it, and well, that's why I don't deserve it, so I don't have it? Or is it easy to say, or is it harder, I'm sorry, to say, I want this, I'm looking forward to it, I see it over there, I can grab it, I can catch it. But then if you don't, then what happens? So now, well, I might as well sabotage it because that's easier than going for it.
Right, then going for it and then potentially not reaching that goal, and then then you probably just blame yourself for that or whatnot. So how do you think that honoring oneself is part of manifesting, and what does that even mean in the first place? We hear these words like, oh, honor yourself. What does it mean? And then the role it plays in manifesting.
So how I honor myself is, how do I take care of myself? And even I don't do it 100% correctly, but nurturing yourself, loving self. How I would treat you, and if I respect and care about you, why am I not doing it for myself? The same kindness that I show someone else, if I'm able to give, and I'm not giving to myself, I call that honoring.
Right, and I've heard this before, is the self-talk that goes on in our head can be very negative sometimes. And if you stop yourself and think, would I say these things to my best friend? And of course you wouldn't, because they're mean. And I think that reframing that can really help people realize, okay, I'm not actually being very kind to myself. But what if people out there think, oh, well, I am just motivating myself to change my behaviors by essentially being mean to myself, or by, a lot of people may fear if they're not hard on themselves, and they're not gonna make any progress. What would be your reaction to that?
So if you're not, but there's a difference between being hard on yourself and supporting yourself. We all have to have a goal. So something super simple. You're going on vacation, let's say. Do you not look forward to that?
100%, yeah.
Right, yeah, I'm going on a cruise, right? So why wouldn't we do that for something else? Why wouldn't we look forward to, getting that car, losing the 5 pounds? But what happens in that one piece is, oh, I've only lost 1.
You minimize the results that you already have.
Right. So, and then that goes back to the celebrating piece. Celebrate the piece that you did lose just 1 pound, and say, we talked about this last time, about accountability partners. Hey, you know what? This is what I'm going through. What do you think? Or can you make sure that I get on the treadmill today? Well, you're not going to physically drive to my house, make sure I get on the treadmill, but you're going to call me up at the end of the day and say, how was that exercising today?
Right. Well, Elias, the next steps in manifestation, which we're focusing on today, we've only scratched the surface, of course. You are offering an event coming up as well, which we'll talk about in your next segment. But what do you have coming up for people who might be interested in connecting with themselves?
So actually at the end of February, we're doing an Honoring Your Inner Voice retreat. And that is at LOMC in Oregon, Illinois. And that is focusing on, how do we talk to ourselves? What are the words that we say to ourselves? And how do we let go of old patterns that no longer serve us?
Oh my goodness. Okay, this sounds like a huge resource for people. So what do you hope that people will take away from this retreat?
I think if they can just make one aha piece, that's all I'm asking for. I know what it did for me, and that's why I do the work that I do. And if they can share that with others, and then also help their kids. I think that when we take care of ourselves, we're helping all the people in our lives.
Definitely. You have to fill your cup up first, right? All right. Well, thank you so much, Elias. We sure appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right. If you would like some more information, you can visit eliaspatris.com. We'll also have those details posted on ourquadcities.com. More Living Local continues after the break.